Good morning, Winnipeg. Good morning, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live this morning on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good morning, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk at the arena, I am your host, Drew Mindell. Dave, it was a really, really long game.
Clearly,
what happened to me?
Clearly.
I grew hair again. That's how long tonight's game went.
That's
all the way
crazy.
Until the 6-minute and 52-second mark of overtime.
I'd like to know why you ran. I would like to know why you randomly have a wig at your disposal.
You don't have a wig in your house at all times?
Well, it's funny. I actually have some of my Baba's old wigs, but that was for a different time.
Okay, well, I'm not going to touch on that one at all, but at the very least, I don't know why I have this wig either. I have this wig I'm sure I got it for a Halloween costume or something, but I decided to pull it out because the game went that long, and I tweeted about this. Were you guys dipping into the HGH again? I was saying that, I tweeted this, that, the most memorable game of the Winnipeg Jets 2.0 was game 3, and that lasted for all of 24 hours, 26 hours, as the Winnipeg Jets somehow pull off a 4-3 triple overtime victory over the Edmonton Oilers. They win the series, as we all expected, undoubtedly, in a clean sweep of the Oilers, 4-0, Dave, and the Winnipeg Jets are through to the second round, and I can assure you that mercifully they are hoping that the Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens series somehow goes 9 or 11 games after tonight's marathon.
Yeah, that was it was sloppy. Poppy was a little sloppy.
Wow. You can't blame the guy.
That was intense, but at the end of the day, all you needed to do was get Kyle Connor the puck, and he seemed to have fairly fresh legs, relatively speaking, but I got to tell you guys, how does Darnell Nurse play? Did he play 56 minutes?
I mean, I don't know what it ended up as. Let me open up I think it was probably more than that. It was, hang on, I got it right here. I mean, Darnell Nurse was 62 minutes and 7 seconds of playing time tonight. 51 of that at even strength. I mean, that's more than human. I mean, that's beyond what you can expect from a human being. I mean, this was a game that we will all remember. Absolutely every last one of us will remember what we witnessed tonight. Every last one of us is still trying to get over what we witnessed last night. And then they come back and say, how can you improve on that? What can you do for an encore? Well, they did this for an encore. A triple overtime game, back and forth, goals being scored, leads being given up. What an absolutely unbelievable hockey game. And, look, the Oilers lost the series. There's no question about that. But it's hard to say that one of these teams, that the Oilers, lost this game. The Jets won the game. I don't think that the Oilers lost it, given the marathon, given the absolute craziness that we witnessed tonight. And obviously you're at the rink still. You're saluting some of your colleagues who are departing or whatever's going on there. So that explains a little bit of your,
I've also invited a special guest, so we'll see if he's going to join us in the chat. We'll see if he will be coming in very soon.
Okay, well, we will see about that. In any event, nice to see so many of you still with us on this. What day is it now? It's now Tuesday morning. It's 1:15 in the morning. It is Tuesday morning, and let's talk about tonight's game. So the Jets, get off to an early lead. It was last night, I guess, at this point in time. Mark Scheifele opens the scoring for the Winnipeg Jets on the power play at the 6:16 mark. It was the pass from Blake Wheeler, the seam pass, the pass that, everybody knows. The pre-scout is try and take that pass away from the Winnipeg Jets. In that instance, it works. Scheifele with the one-timer, an absolute bullet, and the Jets have the early 1-0 lead, Dave.
I mean, it's funny. It had vintage. If you remember Mark Scheifele's goal against the Anaheim Ducks in the 2015 playoffs,
yeah,
it had vintage Mark Scheifele, memories. That's what I was thinking of. I looked. He went top right corner on the in 2015, but still, I mean, he looked like a player who came out to play tonight. I thought he had a particularly good game for the Winnipeg Jets. He made a couple of defensive gaffes that could have very easily ended up in the back of the Jets net, but I thought offensively he was really, firing on all cylinders, and that's what you need. You need Mark Scheifele to be one of your best players. You need Blake Wheeler. I thought he also had a strong game, beautiful seam pass to Mark Scheifele, like you just said, Drew. So those are the guys that you needed to be the drivers of this team, and ultimately at the end of the day, the role players help, but it's always important to get your big horses to lead the way.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I take this off? It's really hot under this thing. Okay.
It's freaking me out. I'm like, how long is this bit gonna last? Like, take the hat off.
I've never worn a wig, believe it or not. I'm not a toupee guy, but it is definitely warm wearing that thing, and it's 1:15 in the morning, and I'm pretty sure everybody's gone delirious, and it's absolute chaos everywhere, given what we've had happen over the last 48 or a little more than 48 hours, I guess, at this point in time. And I just lost Dave, so there you go. It's going to be one of those nights. Nice to see so many of you on this Tuesday morning. Thanks for joining us here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. I am Drew Mindell. Not sure where Dave Minuk just went, but I think he may have lost connection. There, you're back.
Yes.
You had enough of me already?
No, I hit the wrong button. I was cleaning somebody. Yeah, let me tell you something. All I could think about this entire time was how much work and how long I'm going to be up. 1:15. I have no idea how long.
I think you froze.
Yep.
There you go.
I still have to do the morning papers. A lot of work to do still, and it's already 1:15 in the morning. So it's going to be something already.
I'll tell you what, as I said last night when it was about maybe 11:15, heavy is the head that wears the crown. I did not expect that I would have to say it tonight at 1:15 in the morning, given everything that we witnessed. So Scheifele opens the scoring for the Jets. Connor McDavid, who I thought had his best game of the series, which might be damning with faint praise a little bit, ties it up, a minute and 17 seconds later. Just a beautiful wraparound. I mean, McDavid just showing off the skill and the talent that really, he, uniquely has in this game with that wraparound goal. No real chance for anybody on the Winnipeg Jets, and it's 1-1 at that point in time. And you're like, okay, both teams are now settling into this game. Both teams are trying to have got their legs underneath them, and it's going to be an entertaining game. I wondered after Scheifele opened the scoring if the Oilers were going to wilt, if they were going to sort of collapse based on what happened last night, giving up the early goal to the Jets, but they didn't. To their credit, they fought all game long. And, it's sort of ironic, Dave. We talked about all series long, and even before the series, what did we talk about? Well, we talked about the depth, and we talked about how the Jets have the advantage in depth. And you got to see that really in a crystal clear manner in overtime. In overtime 1, in overtime 2, and in overtime 3, because the Oilers basically played, Darnell Nurse the entire time. They were down to 2 lines and 4 defensemen. The Jets shortened their bench as well, but at least they still had 3 forward lines going. They still had Matthew Perreault that they could cycle in, and then they had the 6 defensemen for the most part that they could play throughout the course of the game. That's the difference in this game. I mean, the Jets' depth really showed itself towards the end of this game, in that they were able to continue to play a lot of their roster come overtime when the Oilers were just down to an absolute decimated lineup. And Darnell Nurse, I don't know how he's standing, if he is standing anywhere in the Oilers dressing room right now.
No, he's got the electrolytes flowing, I would imagine, to get his body back into shape, because I can't even imagine what he's put himself through to like I said, to play the way he did. And you're right, Dave Tippett shortened the bench. He right after the Ethan Bear giveaway that led to the game time goal, he the third pairing of the Oilers didn't see the ice again, I think. It was quite the message sending. And I thought to myself, well, it's a good message, but you're going to kill the rest of your team right now. And again, what ends up happening is the Jets, both teams had chances. And the overtime, like, you're sitting there and you're watching this, and it's so weird. It's such a weird experience, I have to tell you. Being inside a building, and I said it last night, and like, think about it tonight. Like, you come back. It wasn't as dramatic a comeback, obviously, but you come back in the game, you win it in triple overtime, and like, this place would be like party central. People would be going crazy, and it's. So I don't want to say it was anticlimactic, because it's still, you can still hear the whooping, and it's a different sort of celebration. But very unusual to be in this building right now without fans and without people cheering. And the fans came in, they did that honking parade thing again. Yeah. And that's a nice, obviously it's a nice touch, and it's a nice effort. And the players have talked, about Pierre-Luc Dubois said that in his availability this morning, about that idea of, getting goosebumps, seeing all the people, celebrating the Jets, where in any manner that which they could. But at the same time, like I said, there's a bit of a, I don't want to say it doesn't cast a pall, but it just changes what you would experience with this whole building erupting like it normally would in an overtime game of this magnitude to win the series and to sweep the Oilers. And I said it in our final tweet of the day. I said, they exercise.
Which day?
Well, yeah, that's good. They exercise the demons of the Jets 1.0, for the first time beating the Oilers in a playoff series, not including obviously the WHL days, but just referencing the NHL 1.0 Winnipeg Jets. And so for the first time in 7 series, they finally get that win, and what a win it was. And I think it just comes down to what we talked about throughout the course. And to your point, and the point you made earlier, I think it's interesting. I actually thought the first 10 minutes were going to be so critical for this series and for this game. Because when the Jets scored, to your point, the Wilt, I thought, okay, well maybe we'll see an Oilers team kind of,
wilt sort of,
wilt.
They just say that the silver, combination of the Jets getting an early goal tonight plus a combination of how they lost the game last night, that they would just sort of be like, okay, it's too much, it's enough, the pressure, not the pressure, but just the combination of the heartbreak and the early goal would just be too much for them to handle. But to their credit, they fought right through it. I mean, I'm looking at the post-game tweets coming through from our friends, and Blake Wheeler calls the Jets' margin of error razor thin in this series, says Edmonton could have won any of those games. Mm-hmm. He's right. Look, these were 4 one-goal games. Take away the 2 empty netters in game 1. 3 of the 4 went into overtime, which is, incredible in and of itself, of course. Yeah. And it was a razor-thin series. Now, the Jets don't have to apologize for coming out on the right side of that razor. And it's probably and the reason, if I can't point to one specific reason necessarily, but that there was, the fact that the Winnipeg Jets had the depth necessary to handle the Oilers and to be on the right side of that razor.
All right, let's bring our guest in. You can keep talking, but let's bring our guest. Got to bring in Jesse Pollock.
From Bar Down, from TSN's Bar Down, Jesse Pollock joining us 2:22 in the morning in Toronto, if I'm not mistaken. Jesse, you are well known, of course, through your Bar Down work and as you're, a huge Winnipeg Jets fan. We've known you for many years. Just sort of what's going through. I see a bottle of some scotch, I think, behind you on the shelf there.
Okay. First of all, I know StreamYard, like the camera's always kind of reversed, so I didn't mean to show that, but that was my roommate's birthday gift. But boys, oh my god, that was absolutely insane.
Did you wake up any of your roommates?
My roommate slept out tonight because he knew that it was going to be a loud one here. He knew it was going to OT, and he knew we were winning an OT.
Well, that your roommate is very wise in that case, certainly knowing that. Look. Jesse, you were there for 1.0. You're a little younger than we are, but certainly, you know the trials and tribulations of this Winnipeg Jets franchise, particularly as it pertains to the Edmonton Oilers. So, Dave mentioned it. It's sort of, you're casting away demons tonight, to some extent, given, all the history of the Winnipeg Jets, and to win this series in the dramatic way that they've won games 2, games 3, and game 4. Just your thoughts about everything that you've seen.
Yeah, casting away the demons. And here we are all these years later thinking like, oh, McDavid is going to do to the Jets what Gretzky did to the Jets back in the day. And we shut him down. We shut him down. I don't know what came over our defense lately, but they were phenomenal. Yeah. And I don't know. Obviously, just doing Hellebuck things, and I feel like the Jets we needed that slump going into the playoffs. I don't know. It was like a kick in the butt, and we're buzzing right now, and I hope we get the Leafs personally.
Really, you want the Leafs? You think you can handle Toronto with in a Leafs Jets series?
Can they handle me, Drew? That is the
question. So, Jesse, what were the range of emotions, though? I was just talking about how OT was so crazy because, there's no fans in here. But what was it like for you just watching remotely and like Drew said, so invested in this team to watch that OT and then finally see the OT winner by Kyle Connor?
Oh, well, first of all, it was a bit of a battle staying awake. Like I gotta be up for work in like 4 hours, but like whatever. I'm like more awake than I was before the game even started. But yeah, it was just an incredible. I mean, I actually took the full weekend off. I took the Friday off too, which I don't typically do. Just get 4 days off, and I'm glad I did. I was just talking with my brother Ethan about it. Like that was just like the best stretch of hockey the most enjoyable stretch of hockey I've ever experienced. I know I speak on behalf of all Jets fans, and the emotions were just insane. Like, I mean, overtime playoff hockey, like that's what personally, like, you know, all of us, we dream. Like when I was a kid, I was just like, man, I wish my city had a team where like I could stay up late and watch overtime hockey. And like that happened 3 times in a row.
Jesse Pollock from TSN's Bar Down, huge Winnipeg Jets fan, joining us from Toronto, where it is 2:25 in the morning. We're talking about, of course, the Winnipeg Jets victory tonight over the Edmonton Oilers, 4-3. Not 1 overtime, not 2 overtimes, 3 overtimes it took at the 6:52 mark. Kyle Connor scores the winner for the Winnipeg Jets. They sweep the series, and the Jets move on to the second round. Dave Manouk, was in the building, obviously. And Dave, there's obviously nobody in the building with you aside from other media members. Just sort of like, again, I asked you this yesterday to sort of walk us through the what was going on in the building when the Jets made the comeback. What was going on in the building tonight throughout the overtimes, and then with the winner from Kyle Connor?
Well, I mean, look, nobody sits in the press box and cheers, but you still can get excited whether it's a play from the Oilers or a play from the Jets. You're still someone who enjoys hockey, so you can't help but react. So you're not going to cheer. You're not going to get up out of your seat and be like, okay, great, this is a great play, because of course you can't do that when you're trying to be impartial. But at the same time, you can appreciate good hockey plays, and I think that's what a lot of people do. So our boy Kenny Wiebe, he's kind of he's a beauty, as Jesse would say, and he's very expressive. And so, Kenny's often yelling, and here's a shot, here's a goal, so you kind of get a little amped up. You're like, oh, Kenny's got the call. It's like listening to Paulie Edmonds do play-by-play. So you can pay attention to some things that are happening. But yeah, you're right. It's like I was saying before. It's not going to be the same without fans, and so it's the players' excitement is one thing. You can kind of see how, you do appreciate that. You do appreciate what you can hear when they say, oh, no fucking way, if there's a call that they don't like, that kind of stuff is clearly transmitted to you. But yeah, it's such a different atmosphere inside the building without fans. I mean, there's a privilege you feel because there's probably 50 people inside of here watching this game, and I'm one of them. So that's kind of a cool experience. But it's funny when work can also be like a fun experience in that sort of idea. So no, it was interesting, but again, it's just never going to be the same without fans.
Jesse, obviously this the overtime after overtime after overtime, never mind the end of regulation when it's a tie game, what's going through you? And obviously the adrenaline is pumping, you're buzzing and everything else. The edge of the seat probably wasn't even necessary, because are you a sitting down kind of guy for overtime, or are you a guy who's wandering and sort of pacing throughout an overtime like we witnessed tonight?
Definitely the latter, just on the edge of the seat, just like getting up, jumping up at every opportunity. Honestly, like the Oilers had so many good chances in that second OT. I was like, I couldn't believe we got out of it. But all I kept thinking was like, oh, let's just end it tonight. Like it'd be so good for us. Oilers can rest up a bit. PLD can rest up a little bit. It would just be so nice. Let Toronto and Montreal just go at each other. Hope that series goes 7 games. And when the winner of that series comes out, we are going to be more than ready for them. Like, I don't know. There's a special feeling with the Jets right now. The fact that we just went out and swept the Oilers, like, what? That's crazy.
Now, when you go to work tomorrow, and some of your bar down comrades, are any of them Oilers fans? Or, I mean, is anybody going to give you grief, or are you going to be able to walk up there, sort of got that good look, that good strut going on, saying, yeah, that's just what happened. What are you going to do about that?
Okay, so funny, we were actually discussing on the Bar Down team how there is not an Oilers fan. We don't have anyone from Edmonton, but still, I mean, people are still giving me the gears all the time about anything. But I'm gonna be feeling really confident tomorrow in our 9:30 Zoom meeting. I'll tell you that for free.
Now, undoubtedly, you'll be wearing a 3-piece suit for that meeting, and you'll be fully, you certainly won't be wearing sweatpants and trying to fake your way through that meeting, I'm sure.
Oh, well, I'm going to put on every piece of Jets, every Jets jersey I have, all 7 of them. I'll make sure to wear them to the meeting.
Wow, that is a lot of jerseys.
Guys, I need some illegal curve swag.
Okay, we can hook you up. We'll hook you up with that. Dave, you're going to work on that? Dave's saying you want a legal curve mask.
I'll see what I can do. I'll see what we can do. We may still have a 5950 hat kicking around, and we've got maybe some toques in the archives. But we're definitely swag is definitely in the next phase of what we're doing. We're still trying to figure out all of this, but yeah, we're definitely going to start adding some gear for that for the people who follow Illegal Curve. Jesse, you get it, of course, because you're always connected to Illegal Curve, so you for sure going to get something.
Of course, Jesse the intern. I got my first, opportunity, obviously, with Illegal Curve. I love Illegal Curve, and I don't think I would have even I would not be in the industry, I don't think, if it wasn't for Illegal Curve. So always grateful for that first opportunity, and I love what you guys do, and love the Jets, and here we are.
Exactly, here we are, Jesse. It's now 2:30 in the morning. Thanks for jumping on with us. We'll let you, maybe try and get some sleep. I'm not sure how possible that's going to be, but we'll do it again real soon, probably at a more reasonable hour.
Drew, just so you know, I told Jesse he could come on when we have if it ends up being a Jets Leaf series, because that would be, of course, that'll be something that's very appropriate for everything he does with Bar Down. I think that'd be great.
Oh yeah, well, let's hope it happens.
Alrighty, brother. Thanks for joining us this morning, Jesse. It's bizarre though. This is the morning. Congrats. Celebrate all you want, but we'll see you again real soon, buddy.
Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Take care. There he goes. Jesse Pollock, former Winnipegger, TSN Bar Down. You know him, of course, as a huge Winnipeg Jets fan and all of his great work that he does with the good folks at Bar Down. Dave Minuk, Drew Mindell. It is 1:31 in the morning Central Time. The Winnipeg Jets victorious tonight over the Edmonton Oilers. A 4-game series sweep. Kyle Connor wins it for the Jets in the third overtime. And Dave, I don't think we can talk enough about Mark Scheifele's performance tonight. He comes back, after having sort of a quiet couple games, in my perspective. He opens the scoring for the Winnipeg Jets in the first period, and then he ties the game with just a wicked wrist shot after a terrible giveaway by Ethan Bear. That's at the 6-minute mark of the third period. No other scoring for the next, 2.5, 3 periods at that point in time. But Mark Scheifele really stepping up huge for the Winnipeg Jets in tonight's contest.
Yeah, there's no question about it, and Blake Wheeler deserves huge credit on both his goals, because first of all, the seam pass on the first goal was beautiful, and on the tying goal in the third period, he made the steal of the Bear pass, which was inexplicable, and then he got the puck over to Kyle Connor, who got it over to Mark Scheifele, who berated the shot. So there's no question, there's no question about it that he. What's wrong?
I'm just reading a quote. This is a beauty one from Jets captain Blake Wheeler after he took the shot where you don't want to take a shot. This is the quote again from our buddy Murat Atesh. Quote, "I've got 3 beautiful kids. We're not having any more. So what the hell?" Because boy, oh boy, that was a prime example of. A hockey player or an athlete just doing everything they possibly can and sacrificing themselves to the nth degree to get a win and to make sure that your team is to keep the lead or to reduce the lead or whatever it was. Blake Wheeler sacrificing the ultimate package, if you pardon the pun there, for the Winnipeg Jets after taking that shot right where you don't want to take that shot.
Well, and it's interesting, Drew, because of course we're watching everything in real time. So we have the benefit of cameras above you can see them actually behind me. There's cameras on the girders, so we get a chance to see the replays. But the interesting thing from that was that we were all convinced it hit him in the wrist. I was like, when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, he got smoked in the wrist. That sucks. And then, but the way he reacted, I was a little surprised. And then I thought, okay, whatever. And then we watched the replay a few more times. I think our buddy Scott Billick from Winnipeg Sun, he sent out a clearer video. And as soon as I realized what had happened, I went, oh, you feel it. You can feel it, up here in the press box. And you can only imagine what he went through. But the guy, I got to give the guy credit. He's tough as nails. He takes that shot off the cojones and continues to roll. So it was a big night for the captain, and I think he played a significant role in that win.
I'll tell you what. Once Kyle Connor scores to win the series, the pain quickly goes away. Now the pain might come back tomorrow. I would not be surprised if you're walking a little gingerly tomorrow. But if you're gonna if you're gonna block a shot with that part of your body, you might as well go out and win the game. That's sort of my thinking on the whole thing. It's one thing to sacrifice and then lose, and then it really hurts even more. But when you go out and you make that sacrifice, and then Kyle Connor gets the winner, the pain goes away for at least the next. The next few hours at the very least. But I mean, look, Blake Wheeler was a guy who took a lot of criticism this year for his play. And now that we understand that he was injured, for a long portion of the season, and his struggles there sort of become a little more clear, but he's certainly stepped up and been the captain that the Winnipeg Jets need during this playoffs. 4 games in a row, the Jets are going to be, whenever the next series starts, and it won't start before Saturday, I can guarantee you that, because the Leafs and Habs play tomorrow, and then they play Thursday. So the earliest that series can wrap up is Thursday, and then
thank God we got that Vancouver Calgary series in. We can have all these playoff back-to-backs. That made a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, you got to make sure that they finish that meaningless 56-game regular season, no questions asked. But obviously, the Jets will now get a much-needed number of days off, because they played, even though it was only technically a 4-game sweep, they probably played closer to 5 games of hockey, especially the 3, almost 4 games in 3 nights, as it were, with tonight's effort and all the overtimes, and what was a 3-game and 4 night turned into be a 4-game and 4 night. So the Jets will be off until at least Saturday, maybe even longer. And I think the Jets will certainly enjoy that time off the ice. Connor Hellebuyck certainly he was tremendous. I mean, you can't say enough about Connor Hellebuyck. He outplayed Mike Smith. Now, that's not me saying Mike Smith was poor in this series, because he wasn't. But Mike Smith just in games 1, 2, 3, and 4 just gave up that one goal that he couldn't. And that's the difference in the series. It is really, as Blake Wheeler said, a razor-thin margin between the Jets and the Oilers, and that's resulting in the Jets moving forward, and the Edmonton Oilers now having a lot of questions that they'll need to answer this offseason about how they improve and how they move forward at this point. And what's sort of nice from my perspective? The Jets and the Oilers aren't going to play each other likely in the playoffs very often again. So the Jets can have bragging rights over the playoff time for the next little while at the very least.
Yeah, I see a lot of people complaining about the panel now. Of course, because I'm here, I don't really see it, but
the panel was embarrassing tonight. I mean, I don't usually like to criticize fellow broadcasters, but it was either the first intermission or the second intermission that they didn't even mention the Jets. The entire intermission panel was about McDavid and his intensity, and they were showing that he was mad at Puljujarvi, and that's when Puljujarvi got pulled off their line, and Kyler Yamamoto got put on the line because Puljujarvi made a mistake, or he didn't field a pass cleanly, whatever it was. But they went an entire intermission with not even mentioning the Jets. They spent way too much time talking about Kevin Bieksa scoring in triple overtime 10 years ago. Like, anybody who's watching the game gives a damn about that. And I'm thinking to myself, when I watch the NFL, and I'm a huge football fan, as you know, Dave, I don't recall, in the Super Bowl in Kansas City and Tampa Bay, them talking about what Howie Long did for the Los Angeles Raiders 20 years ago. If you can't focus on the game that's happening in front of you, get off my television, with all due respect. And I know that isn't necessarily, it's not the broadcasters themselves who make those decisions. This comes from producers, and this comes, I think, heavily from the hand of Ron McLean. But it needs to be rejigged badly, because it's embarrassing to the viewer. I think it's embarrassing to hockey fans who actually want analysis of what they have witnessed for the past 20 minutes. And if you can't do that, that's fine. Maybe those are your limitations. Just move along and get somebody who can actually talk about the hockey game for the 5 to 7 minutes that the panel segment actually lasts during the intermission.
Yeah, again, like I said, I didn't hear it because either I'm usually working when I'm at home, covering a game, or I'm here and I wouldn't obviously hear it. But I've been getting a lot of emails and I've been seeing a lot of. It's kind of like trying to figure out who Corey was for the first few days. But there's been a lot of comments, and I know people wanted to talk about that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for sure. That's an unfortunate thing. But hey, guys, guess what? That's why we've got the Illegal Curve post game show.
That's
because
right.
This is your outlet to do nothing but talk about the Winnipeg Jets.
You know what this is going to result in? This is somehow going to result in the Illegal Curve intermission show, and then we're all going to get. I'm going to get divorced. Ezzy's going to get divorced. Yes. You, me, and Ezzy are going to move into a 3-bedroom apartment, and this is going to be our lives for the rest of our life. Well, and with all due respect, as much as I love you guys, I like my kids a little bit more, and I like my wife a little bit more than you guys too.
Well, I was going to say, like, it sounds okay until you mentioned Ezzy. Who you should mention was Ezzy is going to be. Although, just to get back to the idea of doing an intermission. Someone tweeted at us saying, you guys need to start doing an intermission. I said, are you out of here? I can't do it. I can't even think about doing it. But no, I mean, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But anyways, it doesn't really matter. I just think that it's unfortunate because I think what we've found through this forum that we've created is that people just want to have a voice, including Phil Gass, messaging, he's live in Geneva, Switzerland right now. I've been in Geneva. It's very pretty.
Well, I think we have so far, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, obviously there's so many of you from Winnipeg and Manitoba and Canada, and we love that you're all here, and we appreciate that you're here at 20 minutes to 2 a.m. On a Tuesday morning, and there's almost 500 of you watching us, and we love each and every one of you for that. But we have people here from Geneva, Switzerland. There's somebody that's here from Australia. I saw our buddy Rowdy's here from the Netherlands. I think I saw John from Singapore is here. I mean, I think I saw somebody else maybe in London, England, if I'm not mistaken. It's so great to see so many of you, and truly, this is the platform that allows this to happen, and that's why the pivot that we had to make. There you go, somebody else from Singapore as well, John,
and Victoria is from France.
And there you go, somebody from France. It's so great to see so many of you on expat Winnipeg's Perth, Australia. Shout out to you, John O.
And
Long Beach, California.
Travis is in North Kildonan, so.
And of course, yes, and all the
people. And Tico Napoli from.
And Paul's from Tokyo as well. So, I mean, this is fantastic. Portland, Oregon, so great to see so many of you. We really are humbled to see this many people joining us. And that's, some of you are staying up late. Some of you have woken up early. Some of you probably haven't gone to bed because trying to, figure out the time changes and everything else will make my head explode at this point in the night. But it is so fantastic to see so many of you. And we really do appreciate it.
And smash that like button while you're there.
That's right. And while you're here, and that's what we
subscribe.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We go live after each and every Winnipeg Jets after each and every Winnipeg Jets game with the Illegal Curve post game show, and we go live, of course, on Saturday morning with the Illegal Curve hockey show. Normally, when I say Good Morning Winnipeg, it's because it's Saturday morning and it's 9 a.m., not because it's 1:15 in the morning on a Tuesday morning when both Dave and I will have to be up for work in the wee hours. And I think my wife is probably wondering why the hell I haven't come to bed yet. And the dog doesn't even know what's going on either.
I've got at least another hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of work after this, so I will be doing a little sleeping.
Yes, and you've well earned that sleep in. For somebody asking, where's Ezzy? Ezzy can't have late hours.
Speaking of sleeping, Ezzy is currently passed out. He did send his regards, and I was ready to murder him because he's like, I said, I think it was around the third overtime. I said, just before it had started, I said, what does anyone want to talk about? As he's like, let's talk about my feelings. And I wrote him back in the chat. And I said, you're welcome to talk about your feelings when you come on the show. But he decided to tap out, as Jeff is saying, and which is right. And he is currently asleep. Unlike Drew and I, we're warriors. We don't sleep. Sleep is for the weak.
Well, you know what? Not only are we warriors, and there's so many of you who are warriors, and that's absolutely fantastic. My father was texting me nonstop throughout the course of the game. My father will be 75 coming up in a couple months, and he is he's got a stream of consciousness text message going on. I think he's gone to bed at this point in time. But my dad, earlier tonight, he's like, I'm not sure I'll be able to stay awake. Well, he was right there all the way through it. So I want to just give a shout out to my dad for being like that and for hanging in with us, and like so many of you. And this is the Illegal Curve post game show. It is Tuesday morning. It's 1:44 in the morning. We're talking about the Winnipeg Jets and the Edmonton Oilers. The Jets sweeping the Oilers 4-0. There you go. Tyler Schultz, he knows my dad very well. Giving a shout out to Shelton there in the chat. And some of you have actually seen my father on screen years ago when we first started this format. I used to do the show from my parents' basement. I've rejigged my format, and my father would occasionally walk behind the camera and bring me coffee, but there's nobody doing that tonight. Scheifele ties the game at the 6-minute mark for the Winnipeg Jets. I got to be honest, when the Oilers took the lead there, when the Jets were taking that run of penalties, late in the second period, I did not necessarily expect them. Oh, my father is awake, so he is watching. He just got a text message. Apparently, both my mom and my dad are awake, so that's going to be. Yeah. Oh no, now they're going to sleep. They say it's 1:45, so my parents are going to sleep. Which shout out to my parents for staying awake.
Shout out to your parents. My mom might be awake. My dad is definitely not awake.
Yeah, no, I mean it is a little bit crazy, but we do appreciate all the love from so many of you. As I was saying, Dave, when the Jets started to run into those penalty troubles late in the second period, and it carried over into the third period a little bit, that last penalty. I thought that the Jets were playing with fire because obviously the Oilers had taken the lead at that point in time, and I was surprised that they weren't able to extend the lead even more because the Jets really looked like they were gassed given the amount of time they had spent shorthanded, back-to-back penalties going on there.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Playing with fire is definitely the words I would use because, you can't end a penalty kill, finally get a good kill, and then have to kill another one. It's just you're destroying all your chances at gaining any momentum back. And the second period was definitely favoring the Oilers. I mean, look, the Jets had the benefit of 3 straight power plays. In the first period, the Oilers had 4 straight calls for them in the second. Mm-hmm. And I actually thought that the Jets' PK was pretty good. What I would say, I think my overarching feeling about this game, and again, it was a game that lasted 6 periods, or not quite 6 periods, but went with 3 overtimes. I think it was just there was a lot of tired players out there. You could just see it from the mistakes that guys were making. I mean, guys were fumbling pucks in the neutral zone, and it wasn't one. It was both teams, lots of guys who have tons of skill. And there was one play to illustrate my point where Blake Wheeler had the puck along the wall and he just fell backwards.
He just fell down. You're absolutely right.
He just fell down, and he just literally fell down, and he was just lying on the puck. And there's a lot of guys who deserve highlighting because I thought a lot of guys, hockey's such an interesting game, right? You have guys like Andrew Kopp who doesn't get an assist on the Mason Appleton goal, but he takes just a pounding to create space for Adam Lowry to get that puck back to Josh Morrissey, and then Morrissey fires it on net, goes in off Appleton. It was funny actually because Appleton had no idea that it actually went in the net. Yeah. And I'm sitting there in my seat in the press box, and I could see directly over Mike Smith. So I saw it was in before Appleton even reacted. But there's a lot of guys. Josh Morrissey, I thought, has been phenomenal. I think Josh Morrissey.
That's Morrissey that we've seen all season long, no question.
Yeah, I think Josh Morrissey deserves just a huge kudo for what he's managed to do in terms of, again, look what Connor McDavid's still going to get his chance as best player in the world. Mm-hmm. But I thought that the team collectively, Adam Lowry's line against Connor McDavid, I think they deserve commending because I think they were pretty good. Again, I haven't looked at the stats because it's been such a crazy day, but there's a lot to like. I mean, and the players were saying it in the post game availability. I mean, it begins and ends with Connor Hellebuck. Yeah. He was. I mean, it was funny, right? There's so many. I go back to that idea that hockey's such a funny game, right? There's a play where I don't remember which Oiler did it. Was it Yamamoto where he slid the puck through Hellebuck's legs? But yeah, Hellebuck just kicked out the back of his left pad
and out the other side.
And out the other side. I mean, it's just it's such a game of inches sometimes. And that goes. I mean, look, either post or crossbar in overtime, so that goes both ways. But just a very very good team game. But it's unfortunate just because of the fact that it felt a little sloppier because of the fact that both teams were just exhausted.
They were just completely gassed. I mean, your point about the Wheeler just he just fell backwards, and I mean it looked like they even trying to clear the zone. It was it was like they were handling a hand grenade for the most part, but both sides were. So I think there was I think it was in the second overtime. Kyle Connor was, an easy, clearing attempt or opportunity to get the puck out of the Jets zone, and he fumbles it at the Jets blue line, and then whoever the Oilers player was fumbles it as they're trying to sort of turn around and get an opportunity, and then I believe they finally got it out. But I mean, you really do see, I think we've sort of forgotten maybe just how much energy they're expending, and especially on the back-to-back. I mean, this isn't like they had a couple nights off and they were playing in tonight's game, and that I'm looking at Paul Maurice's quote here in his post game, and he says playing back-to-back is egregious when you're talking about playoff hocky, and he's right. He's absolutely right. In the NHL,
especially with the possibility of triple overtime, like
of course,
it's such stupid. And you know what? Here's the thing: it doesn't make sense. Why did it matter? Why did it matter if they were playing at the same time as the Flames? And it's how is it any different than all the other teams, like the Southern teams playing at the same time as the Flames and the Canucks? It does. So it was beyond stupidity. And look, it worked out for the Jets. And it's funny because Jeff Hamilton asked Paul Maurice today in his availability about, Paul Maurice had said, for the team that wins last night, there's going to be a big advantage. And then he kind of had to walk it back because he didn't want to, say, oh, well, there is a big advantage. But you could see that he was feeling like there would be a little bit of a team would get a little, rise, or they'd get a little bump from having that having won and knowing that, what was there a tightness to the Oilers? Draisaitl, look, Nurse in particular, I think is just, he had a chance he could have ended it. So there's a lot of
Maurice was praising Darnell Nurse in the post game availability as well.
I don't know who the really smart, handsome man was who picked the 3 stars tonight, but probably picked some good ones.
Did Darnell Nurse make the cut there for you?
No.
Oh. Look, this was an epic game. These were 2 epic hockey nights back to back. The Winnipeg Jets obviously coming out on the favorable end of both, and I think that's really as shocking as anything for Winnipeg Jets fans who are usually programmed to expect the worst, and that's just fine because that's sort of what we've experienced throughout our course of our fandom, particularly for 1.0 more than 2.0. But that's just how it went for so many years. So you're a little you're like a Minnesota Vikings fan. Or I was talking about this with somebody earlier today about being a Vikings fan. You're sort of programmed to expect the worst, and if you're a Jets fan, you're sort of programmed to expect the worst. The worst did not happen for the Winnipeg Jets. The worst was the Winnipeg Jets took a little bit longer. They went to overtime, 3 of the 4 games, but they got the wins, and they're going to the second round, and they are one of only 2 teams to sweep a series alongside the Colorado Avalanche. And this was a damn close series, and the Winnipeg Jets, what did we say? We said that goaltending was likely going to be the difference maker, and depth was going to be a difference maker, and both of those things certainly proved themselves in the course of the last 4 games. I mean, I'm looking at Oilers coach Dave Tippett, talking about how that it's luck and it's bounces and it's lessons learned and all that jazz, and he's not wrong per se, and that's hockey usually in a nutshell, because most of these teams are pretty damn close with one another. But the Jets got the bounces, and the Jets got the saves that they needed to get, where the Oilers just weren't able to get one save more in each of games 1, 2, 3, and 4.
No, I mean, and you're 100% right. We're not maligning what Mike Smith did. He was very good, but Connor Hellebuck was better, and Connor Hellebuck will, and that's what when we isolated what were the keys to this series for the Winnipeg Jets, it was play better defensively and have Connor Hellebuck still be Connor Hellebuck. Well, that's what the Jets managed to do for the most part, and they got timely scoring, they got depth scoring. The Oilers did not, and as a result, the Winnipeg Jets are moving on. Look, I was talking about with some of the other media guys today. I said, how many people look, it was a toss-up. I had the Jets winning this series, but I thought it was. What did I say, Drew? In 6 or 7? I think
it certainly was going to be a lengthy series.
Yeah, I think
even me, when I said that I thought the Oilers were going to win the series. I said it was going to be 6 or 7 as well. So it's not like I said that it was going to be an Oilers sweep, or that it was going to be dramatically one-sided. Everybody, the vast majority of people thought this was going to be a closer series than we saw during the regular season.
Yeah, and sorry, just to answer the question that 69 is asking me. I cannot hear the horns, but I'm in the middle of the press box right now in the top of the arena. So I'm far removed from about 5 stories up. So I'm not going to be hearing any horns or anything like that. I heard them before when I was walking in.
Yeah.
Folks were excited, but I haven't heard anything from. I can't hear. Maybe I'll hear it on my way out, which is good because my tire was flat yesterday, and I hope it's not flat again today.
Never mind flat. I'm hoping your car's still going to be there.
That's a big 10-4. When do they start charging again? I might have to go put the money in the meter.
I think it's probably a no stopping zone starting at about 7 a.m. So hopefully you can make it home by that point in time. But we haven't talked about them, but I think we need to talk about the performance of Appleton, Lowry, and Kopp tonight.
For sure. Yep,
and
absolutely.
I know that if you look strictly at the possession numbers, they were outpossessed, but the performance that they put forward against McDavid and Draisaitl, less so in overtime, I'm talking about during the regular 60 minutes, was absolutely remarkable. And the only goal that the goal that McDavid scored, to tie the game in the first period came against the Scheifele, Wheeler, and Connor line.
Yeah.
From that point on, it was almost exclusively Appleton, Lowry, and Kopp. And there were at least, there were a number of shifts in the course of the game where the 40 seconds that the line was out there, or the 45 seconds, or maybe the minute, was spent in the Oilers zone. They were Adam Lowry. This was him asserting himself as a dominant defensive player in this series for what he did against Connor McDavid and against Leon Draisaitl. And it's not gonna, it doesn't show up on the score sheet, but anybody who watched that game closely, like I did, like you did, like all the good folks in the chat did, almost 500 people as we approached 2 a.m, which is mind-blowing. They were unbelievable in tonight's game against the McDavid and Draisaitl line. Absolutely just dominant. And I think McDavid and Draisaitl haven't had opposition play like that against them at all this season. And it just goes to show you what Lowry, Kopp, and Appleton can do. And if that's how they have to do it against Austin Matthews, or Montreal could still win the series, but let's cross that bridge when we come to it. But that ace in the hole for Jets head coach Paul Maurice.
Paulie Edmonds and Jamie Thomas just walking by, and I'm sure they're probably just exhausted after finishing calling a three overtime game.
Yeah, the broadcasters have to work hard on a night like tonight as well. So yeah, we give our salute to, of course, our buddy Paul Edmonds and our buddy Jamie Thomas as they depart the arena where Dave Minuk is tonight. But I can't.
I've got a cot set up over there.
You got a cot set up over there? That's good.
I don't know when the first game of the next series is going to be, but I may as well just stay.
You might as well, yeah. You just can't be effusive enough in praise for Appleton, Lowry, and Kopp's performance tonight.
No, I 100% agree with you, Drew. I think it was a function of complete buy-in, and those guys, they like what they do, they like the opportunity, they like the challenge, and I think that's what you saw from Adam Lowry and Andrew Kopp, and they stir that drink, and Mason Appleton he's really made himself at home on that third line. And it's funny because I jokingly said he's looking more and more like a steal in the 6th round from the 2015 draft, and what can you say about him, right? He plays such a good brand along with those guys. Hey, Jamie. And so, now I'm rattled. Paulie's leaving too. Bye, Paul. But no, and like someone saying Matthew Perreault, I thought Matty Perreault deserves credit as well. Talk about a chameleon. The guy goes on and he's just, he's energetic, and it's funny. Like, when the players walk out from the dressing room, and Matthew Perreault's doing his warrior thing, and he's getting everybody all jazzed up. He's a guy who's a spark plug. He's a guy who really ignites his team. I think really it goes down to, this was another. I don't want to belabor the point. It was sloppy for Drew. Now the numbers are climbing even higher. We're incredible. People don't want us to go to bed. I
know. It's absolutely. It was
people
sloppy because,
more importantly, don't people want to legalcurve.com to get updated at some point?
Well, they're happy. They're celebrating right now. They know that you'll be up all night. They'll read the papers in the morning. Okay. They know that you'll have it there for them because of your dedication to the cause. It absolutely was sloppy, and it was sloppy because the players were just exhausted. I thought the Jets, particularly in the second and the third overtime, were a little too cute. That is not the time where you're going to make a crisp passing play that's going to end up with the OT winner for the most part. It's shots on net and drive hard. And it's even what did we see in game two? A seeing eye shot from Paul Stastny is the OT winner. We saw so many goals in this series that didn't really look like they were dangerous to begin with. The Jets' second goal tonight, the Mason Appleton goal, didn't look dangerous. You throw the puck on net, good things happen. I thought the Jets were too cute in overtime. Clearly, it didn't end up biting them, because Kyle Connor came in and sniped the goal on the when he walked in all alone there in the third overtime. But after that, I thought that the Jets, if I had to go back and criticize anything about the Jets, and that would be really splitting hairs at this point in time, let me tell you, it would be that they were just a little bit too trying to be too pretty with the game-winning goal, and obviously didn't end up didn't end up to matter in tonight's contest. Mattering is not a word.
No, I think what it comes down to is Troy Stevens thinks you're cute with that wig, Drew.
I'm cute without the wig, Troy.
Well, I don't know about that, but anyways, the point is that
how about ruggedly handsome? Will you give me ruggedly handsome? No, just move on.
No, we'll go rugged maybe. But
if I put the hair back on, will that change your mind?
No. Okay. I mean, it's not that late. It's not that late. Although it is after 2, it is now 2 a.m. So it's still going. I mean, again, I'm a broken record here, but I'm just going to say it again because I just love the fact that we have over 500 people at 2 a.m. right now. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know what it was going to be like. We didn't know what it was going to be like because, of course, we had such a great number last night, but it was the night before a day off. So Victoria Day holiday, I think, is what it was today. So people were able to stay up with us. But the fact that people are up right now is just incredible. So we're super appreciative. Of course, we would also like you to smack that like button if you're feeling so inclined. But you know what, Drew, it's one of those games. And I actually thought it's funny because I had said earlier in the game, I'll get back to Mason. No, my thoughts are all disjointed right now. I'm all over the place. Someone's asking why am I wearing a mask? I'm wearing a mask because I'm currently in a building where I'm legally obligated to wear a mask. So that is the reason why I'm wearing a mask. So no, I think I actually thought that
the number of people who are sorry, I gotta look.
Well,
the guys
to be honest with you, I think sometimes I think that the reason people ask that is because they think I'm, like Huss uses a background, so right? Maybe because people think I've got a background of some
like it's a green screen or something.
Yeah, like that's the only thing the only way I can justify the question is that maybe that they think that it's because I've got a green screen. So no, I'm very much inside Bell MTS Place, and I'm obligated to wear a mask, so that's the reason why. I think you can still hear me.
We can still hear you fine. If they don't like your mask, then they can, with all due respect, they can shove off to a different post-game show that's on at 2 a.m. By the way, because if you see Kenny and Rennie, they'll also be wearing masks. I can assure you, because they're also in the same building.
Actually, no, where they are, I don't think they actually have to.
Oh, okay. Well,
actually, there you go. I should have. What I should have done is gone down to where they are. Anyways, yeah. The point is that. What I was getting at was I actually thought that the Nikolai Ehlers and Pierre-Luc Dubois were starting to find a little chemistry, and I thought that there was a little bit more synergy with those guys. And someone said in response to me on Twitter, it said that they didn't think that, but I thought that the two have been playing with a little more confidence, and it was showing more for Dubois. I mean, Ehlers doesn't really need a boost of his confidence. The guy's uber talented. Yeah. But I thought that for Dubois, it was, it seems to be really helpful for him for what, Nikolai Ehlers has done for him.
I thought Ehlers struggled more tonight, certainly, than he did last night. Last night, he had such jump, and it's to be expected. He's, so excited to get back into the lineup, and that he gets in, and he obviously has the performance that he had last night, which was incredible. And tonight, I thought was more of a grind for him. I thought that he wasn't as crisp, and that's to be expected. You haven't played hockey in besides last night's game, you haven't played hockey in a number of weeks, so it's going to be a little bit harder last night than it was. It was going to be harder in, I guess, last night's game now, because it was. Or I don't know, last night or tonight.
They're all running into each other.
They are running into. It was going to be harder in Game 4 than it was in Game 3 for him. How about that? I'll just talk about. I won't use night and last night and tonight and tomorrow night and all that jazz anymore. Sure. But look, it was the last 48 hours. It hasn't been an easy, couple weeks here in Winnipeg. It really hasn't for a lot of people. And so the fact that, that everyone was able to sort of band together and have something to cheer on together and sort of take our minds off of things. I mean, I think about our buddy Scotty Pollock, who's been, he's been on COVID beat for the entire time now. He's been on the COVID beat for so many months that I can't even imagine how just the relief of being able to cover hockey, be a sports reporter, how much of a difference that means, and just be able to talk about something other than the shittiness that's all around us so often right now. Just be able to have conversations and talk about hockey and talk about the Jets and talk about, did you see what happened last night? And as members of the media, obviously we don't cheer, we don't root for one team. We root for a good game. We root for a competitive contest. We root for things of that nature. If the Jets win, great. If the Jets lose, also great. We're gonna talk about it. But just the idea that it wasn't that COVID wasn't the first thing we had to talk about for once really made this weekend a lot more palatable, because it really could have been a lousy weekend top to bottom.
Yeah, no, you're 100%. You're 100% right, Drew. I think that's such a nice benefit for folks, is to have that distraction. And sometimes people, malign this and say, oh, well, you're burying your head in the sand. Well, I think we've had our heads, out of the sand and fully comprehending what's been going on for so long, that it's nice to have something as a distraction. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it in the number of people that have joined us in these post games. We see that from the people who join us on our Saturday morning shows. I see it on illegalcurve.com. I mean, people have an appetite, a thirst right now for this, and it's providing people with and Paul Maurice was asked about that by Paul Friesen today from the Winnipeg Sun, and Paul Maurice relayed a story saying, well, he had a neighbor say that his heart rate was significantly elevated, so he was obviously doing something for them. So I think that people are definitely having this become something that is it's a benefit, something that they can talk about, to your point, and get a little bit of a reprieve from everything that is the reality. So I think it's a nice forum. It's providing people with this, whether it's on our show or whether it's on Kenny and Rennie or whatever. I think it's just such a nice avenue for people to be able to talk about something other than what's going on in the real world, because sometimes that's not necessarily so pleasant.
Absolutely right. I'll tell you what, Dave, let's take our commercial break. Everybody hang tight. We'll take a commercial break. We'll come back and we'll give some final thoughts, and we'll wrap this post-game show. There's almost 500 of you with us. It is 5 minutes after 2 a.m. I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday morning, but I'll be honest when I say I'm not even 100% sure of that. You're listening, you're watching, you're chatting with the Illegal Curve post-game show. Hang tight. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Keeping Winnipeg laughing for over 30 years. Rumors, Canada's longest-running comedy club, bringing you the biggest laughs from the best comedians on the planet. Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the greats, and all the up-and-comers too. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends, or book your office or birthday party. Even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
Hey, Drew.
Ezzy, whoa, what a smile!
Yeah, I got my crowns done at Linden Market Dental Center, and they whiten my teeth.
I see.
They're so bright that every time I smile, they go...
We have hockey tonight. Do you have a mouth guard to protect those pearly whites?
I sure do.
Whoa, they even ting through the mouth guard.
Linden Market Dental Center covers all your dental needs, from restorative to cosmetic dentistry, and will fit you with a sports guard for that active lifestyle. 877 Waverly. See lindenmarketdental.com.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours, and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
While you can't always count on your team winning, nor your favorite player scoring, one thing you can always count on is Bernstein's Deli. They've expanded their services because the team at Bernstein's Deli wants to accommodate your needs and keep you safe. Open Tuesday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. to serve you. Head to your phone, in-store or online to shop for groceries or order meals from the restaurant, like the legendary Illegal Curve sandwich. Just go to bernsteinsdeli.com.
This year's Stanley Cup playoffs may not have fans in the arena, but you can still cheer for the Jets from the comfort of your own home. Thanks to the team at Lynn's Heating, Cooling, Sewer and Drain, offering discounted air conditioning or furnace tune-ups, you may want to cheer a little louder. For Winnipeg residents, Lynn's is offering next-day discounts of 10% off AC or furnace tune-ups for each goal scored by the Jets. Cheering for the Jets just got even better thanks to your friends at Lynn's.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
We are back with the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, so many of you still with us. We appreciate it. We're going to go for about another 5 or so minutes. Our buddies Kenny and Rennie, I'm not sure if Flutie, a.k.a. Scott Bilk, is going to be there. Probably. Anyways, all those guys are going to get started in about 5 minutes' time. So if you want to keep the party going, and if you really don't need any sleep at all, you can check out the Kenny and Rennie YouTube page in about 5 minutes' time. I want to give a shout-out to our sponsors. They are so important. They make this post-game show and the Saturday Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Really, they make it a reality. So I want to give a special shout-out to Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Bernstein's Deli, Zappia Group Realty, Boston Pizza, Lynn's Heating, Cooling, Sewer, and Drain, and, of course, Seagram's, where we should all be taking a shot of Fireball right now.
I love some of that right now.
You think you need a shot of Fireball at 2:10 in the a.m.?
I think it would help, I mean,
probably couldn't hurt, maybe a little hair of the dog, or I guess that would be when you wake up in the morning. But at this point in time, who knows what the hell's going on?
and don't forget, by the way, that people are going to get 40% off if they call Lynn's tomorrow. They'll get 40% off because the Jets scored 4 goals.
That's right. So be sure if you need to get any HVAC work done or air conditioning or furnace tune-ups, furnace and air conditioning tune-ups, call our friends at Lynn's tomorrow, lynswinnipeg.ca for more information as well. Dave, before we wrap it up in a couple minutes, we have to say that Paul Maurice outcoached Dave Tippett in this series. And, I think the Jets head coach, who is certainly maligned by a certain audience, certain vocal group of observers, not necessarily unfairly, but he certainly comes under criticism oftentimes. I thought that Paul Maurice outcoached Dave Tippett, and I didn't necessarily know that was going to be possible. I thought before the series started that Dave Tippett versus Paul Maurice was an advantage in the Oilers column. After 4 games, 4 very close games, 4 very tight games, it wasn't. Paul Maurice was the better head coach over Dave Tippett, and the Jets head coach certainly, from my perspective, gets credit for that.
Oh, I mean, I agree with you, Drew. And look, at the end of the day, you had a regular season which was 2-7 in favor of, or 7-2 in favor of Dave Tippett. So you're thinking to yourself, is that reflective of the coaching gap? Is there? And we expected it to really be evident in the first game in Edmonton, and it wasn't. Then we expected it to be evident in the second game in Edmonton, and it wasn't. And what have the Jets done? The Jets have bought in for the most part. There's going to be stretches where sometimes you don't necessarily you don't adhere to the plan. Like the start of that third game 3 actually was where the Jets didn't follow through with the blueprint they had created for themselves. Yeah. So I think that was a situation, but for the most part, Paul Maurice was able to get this team, an offensive team, guys who like to just release the reins and just go. And instead, what did you have? You had a team that was consistently playing a fairly smart defensive game, especially their awareness of being when Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, to your point, through that third line, or even the Shifley, Wheeler, Connor line, when those guys knew that McDavid and Draisaitl were on the ice, which for the record seemed like it was every second shift.
It was incredible. I'm pretty sure they played more minutes than there actually were in the overtime periods.
Well, 100%, and it was impressive. And so you have to give Paul Maurice credit. And I know that Paul Maurice, to your point, Drew, it's funny. You never know, really. You see, there's a lot of people who, quote, hate him. But I would have to suggest, look, I posted a video on our YouTube channel from Paul Maurice. It had 73, likes, which for the record, hey, it's a little hit some like buttons right now. But my point is, the player ones, most people are fans of players. Those were getting like 10, 15, maybe 5. So there's a lot of people who like Paul Maurice and don't necessarily feel that, but you tend to hear from the
vocal minority. There's a reason why they're called the vocal minority, and that's because they're the loudest. And what you see on Twitter, certainly is an echo chamber as opposed to really being a realistic representation of what goes on.
I'm trying to figure out if Jeff is talking to us, because I'm fairly certain that none of us would ever have suggested that Paul Maurice. In fact, I was fairly vocal when people were suggesting during the losing streak that Paul Maurice was to be fired. I said there's a 0% chance that's going to happen. So I don't know where that comes from. Anyways, so it doesn't really make a difference to me. But the point is that you give him credit. The guy had he got the team to buy in, and that's all you can ask from a head coach. You can take the assets you have and see what they're able to do. Easy to rely when you have Connor Hellebuck in net. He's always going to make your team stand up a little bit taller because they know that they have confidence in his ability. He played phenomenal this whole series, and they're going to have that confidence. So give the guy credit, give the team credit. I think they deserved it. They swept the Oilers. Nobody would have predicted this. And so at the end of the day, that's a feather in the cap of the Winnipeg Jets.
Dave, it's time to go because I just got the email from the NHL public relations that I get, when it's their daily wrap up of everything that happened in the playoffs. I just got that email, and usually that email, I don't see it until I wake up at around 6:30 in the morning. So that's a pretty good sign that it might be time for us to wrap this up, get you home at some point in time before the sun rises or before they turn the lights off behind you.
There's still 400 people in the chat. So if you see a tweet from me saying that my tire is flat, I expect someone to come in and give me a hand on where am I parked? I'm parked on Portage and Hargraves, though. Yeah. So I expect an assist from somebody.
Yes, one of you is still going to be awake. So if Dave isn't desperate,
check my Twitter, IC Dave.
Yeah, at IC Dave. You can follow me at IC Drew, and of course we are on Twitter at Illegal Curve. Our website illegalcurve.com will have all of the latest or all of the Winnipeg Jets post game media availabilities. That'll be up some point in the next probably hour or so when Dave gets it done.
I don't even see the video available yet. I'm gonna have to text the Jets PR guys or media guys to get that.
They just put Scheifele up on their Twitter feed, which is usually a sign that
so
they'll be seeing it shortly.
Yeah, okay, good sign.
So Dave will be getting that up on the website. You can check that out tonight if you're a real late night owl, or you can check it out tomorrow morning alongside with the Winnipeg Jets morning papers that we do each and every day. We thank so many of you for joining us. This was absolutely terrific. We did not know what to expect after, when the game ended at, what was it, 1:15 in the morning, 1:05 in the morning, whatever time it was. We had no idea what to expect, but we do thank so many of you for joining us. It is terrific. We'll be back again either on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, or if for some reason the Jets are playing before that, but I do not think that'll be the case, we'll be back again whenever the Jets next have the Illegal Curve post-game show. If you want more hockey talk, more Jets talk, Kenny and Rennie, they're starting right now, so you can check them out on their YouTube feed. Dave Manouk is at the Bell MTS Place. I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Until, at the very least, Saturday morning at 9 a.m., we wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.